Hi, welcome to my channel. My name's Khadija. I'm in an accelerated nursing program and I'm in my second semester. I got my CNA license almost around this time last year, but I didn't work as a CNA because I was going to be moving and then starting my nursing program, and I wanted to start school for a little bit and see how I was handling it since it's an accelerated program before I got a job as a CNA. Around Christmas time, so during winter break, I kind of decided that I think I could handle having a CNA job and doing school still. So I started applying. I also really wanted to work in a hospital because I wanted to get a lot of experience and start feeling more comfortable in a hospital, especially since I'm not getting as many clinicals as I'm supposed to be. So yeah, that's partially why I also really wanted to start using my CNA license. Winter break, I was applying to a ton of hospital jobs, and then in the beginning of February, I got a call back from one of them saying that they wanted to interview me, and that is the only one that has gotten back to me. It was per diem for nights, but then when I was being interviewed, she asked if I wanted days because she just got an opening on days, and I was like, yeah, I will take the days, please, because I was kind of nervous to do nights and be in school, which I have people in my cohort that do it, but I just didn't know if I'd be able to do it. So getting the per diem day job was just perfect. I only have to do 4 shifts a month, which it's pretty easy. I think that's doable, 1 shift a week. It's not gonna be pushing it or anything. So if you're kind of on the fence about getting a CNA job while in nursing school, I would highly, highly recommend looking for a per diem position. The requirements are probably different at every hospital, but my hospital requires 4 shifts a month, and one of those shifts has to be a weekend. My floor is going to be a telemetry unit, so I'm really excited. She said we're going to be seeing a lot of different things, and I'm going to get a lot of experience in just kind of seeing everything, so that's super exciting. So just to tell you about how my interview went, it kind of wasn't really what I was expecting or what I prepared for. So she told me it was going to be an hour or more, and that's really scared me because I was like, oh my gosh, that's a really long interview. So I prepared a lot. I thought I was going to be answering a lot of questions about myself and stuff, but I didn't. She talked a lot, which was really nice because she gave me a lot of information about the unit and her and how her CNAs and RNs interact and all of that, and it was really helpful. But yeah, so she talked for most of the time. I was only asked 2 questions, and that was it. And then we went to the scenario section where she asked me 2 different scenarios and was like, what would you do in this situation? And then at the end, she offered me the job. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I think going into it, she kind of already knew she wanted to hire me because she said she likes hiring nursing students as her CNAs. And the questions that she asked were just more conversational and didn't really have to do with the position very much. So the first thing she asked me was, why do you want to be a CNA? I said something along the lines of how I have always volunteered in the hospitals and that's what I want to do for my career, and I really miss it, and the patient interaction and helping patients and all of that. I also mentioned how I'm not getting a lot of clinical hours right now, and that's also why I want to kind of jump in and kind of see what things are like in a hospital, working versus being a volunteer. And she really liked that. And then she was just asking me questions about where I want to work as an RN and all of that stuff. She was really nice. I really like her, and I'm really, really excited to start this new job. So to prepare for the interview, I looked up a lot of questions about practice questions specifically for CNA positions, and I think that helped a lot because it made me feel a little bit less nervous going into it. I would also advise you to have someone ask you the questions and you answer as if you were in the interview right then. So almost like a mock interview thing. But with that, be careful that you don't over practice your answers, because then it doesn't seem like genuine. So I feel like it's kind of like a hard line, but yeah, I think that's what helps a lot. And obviously, you know, everyone's gonna stumble over their words and like make mistakes. So if you do that during the interview, it's totally fine. Be able to like elaborate more about what's on your resume. So she asked me more about like the different units I had volunteered at and all of that. So definitely be able to talk about what you did there and how that could translate to your CNA job and how those skills could correlate. I wasn't asked anything like that, but that's just some advice. That's what I was prepared to do. Make sure you prepare for scenario questions because you most likely will be asked them. I was asked two, and I have a lot of CNAs in my cohort, and a lot of them said that they were also asked scenario questions. So I think it's fairly common. They weren't like hard questions or anything, but I think they just want to make sure you know what you're doing and all of that, you know? Make sure you kind of brush up on all of your things that you need to know. So like all of your skills and everything, because just in case if it comes up in one of the scenario questions. Usually it'll be like a problem and it's like, what would you do about it? Also, make sure you look up about the hospital and the type of unit you're applying. The scenario questions that I was asked was, the first scenario was you have a patient who you're feeding and there's nothing in their chart that says that they have trouble swallowing or anything. She didn't say that part until the end because I didn't understand where they were trying to get to with the question. So initially she told me that you're feeding a patient and your patient starts to cough. What would you do? And then I said that I would stop the feeding, like don't give them the next bite, offer water if they want it, and then just let them try to cough things up. And then she was like, okay, so you offer them water and then they cough that up. And I was just like, I would just like stop feeding them and make sure that they don't like choke any further and like give them a second to calm down. And I was just more focusing on like the choking part. When she kept saying coughing, I thought she was trying to say that like he was choking. But then she like restarted the scenario and then said that in the chart it doesn't say anything about like trouble like eating or anything. And then that's when I realized they were trying to get to like, she was trying to ask me a question about like if the patient was starting to develop like trouble swallowing. So that's when I like, it clicked for me. And then I was like, oh, okay, like I would go tell the nurse that I would stop feeding the patient. And I would tell the nurse that when I was feeding the patient, they started coughing a lot. So I held the feeding and that I just wanted to let you know. And then from there, see what the nurse wants to do. And if that patient needs to get reevaluated or whatever. So yeah, so if you start messing up on your scenario questions, because I was panicking when she kept like adding little things to try to get me to get to the answer she was looking for. And I was just like, I was so scared. I was like, this is it. I'm not gonna get this job. Like, she probably thinks I'm so stupid and all of that. But no, she didn't. She was really nice about it. And I think she could tell that I wasn't understanding what she was trying to say. The second question she asked was just like very broad. And she was like, you take a patient's blood pressure and it's low. What do you do? And I said I would check the chart to see if their blood pressure is normally low like this or if this is kind of something new for them. And then if it wasn't normally low like that, I said I would take a manual reading, which she said that we don't have to do that. Like that's like a little bit extra, but I think that's just because like in nursing school, that's what we were told. So that's what I thought. But she was like, that's a good answer, but like, you don't have to do that. And then I was just like, okay, then if I'm not taking the manual and I notice that it's not normal range for this patient, then I would go tell my nurse. And she was like, good job. So for your scenario questions, make sure you know what kind of things you're like looking for to be wrong within a patient that the nurse needs to be alerted to. Because that's what my 2 questions were about. A little bit more about my meeting. It was a Zoom call with my 2 nurse managers. So I hope this helped you. And if you're preparing for an interview, good luck. Just make sure to take a deep breath before you start, and you're gonna do great. It's gonna seem a lot scarier than it actually is. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.